at some international developments where the US forces have now carried out 2 additional strikes against Iran-backed militia in Iraq, hurting at least 8 people. These strikes come after an attack on the US forces by the Iran-backed group on an airbase. The US officials have stated that until this week, the United States of America had been reluctant to retaliate in Iraq because of the delicate political situation in the Middle East. The US military issued a statement saying that the strike targeted 2 facilities in Iran and further added that the strikes were in direct response to the attacks against US and the coalition forces by Iran and the Iran-backed groups. The strike by the fighter aircraft targeted and destroyed a Katib Hezbollah operations center and a Katib Hezbollah command and control node near Al-Anbar. I have with me Rubinder Sachdev. Rubinder, this war continues to escalate in the Middle East and it has now reached the peripheries. We took a look at what was happening with the Houthi groups attacking the US strike carriers as well as far as the Israel, south part of the Israel. Now we're getting to know that Iraq has also been simmering with these attacks on the US forces and a counter-attack that has now been witnessed against the Hezbollah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Megha. No, absolutely. And as you said, very rightly, simmering. You know, this whole region, Lebanon, Syria and Iraq especially, keep aside the other Arab countries which have, a dominant government. Saudi has a proper government, Jordan, etc. That's a different category of nations. These category of nations like Lebanon, Syria and Iraq, there the government is only namesake. So what you have are disparate, multiple groups of extremist and terror organizations, right? So, and they have been attacking US Army bases and America has been retaliating. However, it's an interesting development today. I think a few hours ago, Hezbollah said that if there is a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, Hezbollah says that it would also pause any of its attacks, rocket attacks on Israel. My thought then is that, would this mean that the other Islamic resistance groups, right, in Syria and Iraq specifically that you're mentioning, would they also cease attacking US assets in this region in case, if, let's say, as the Israel-Hamas peace or ceasefire moves ahead? That would be a very interesting development to see.
Absolutely. Rubinder, you mentioned about how there has been efforts to normalize the situation. There is now a ceasefire that has been declared by Israel in exchange for those 50 hostages. But there are these conflicting opinions of these terrorist organizations that are based out of these Islamist nations. You mentioned about Yemen, you mentioned about Iraq, you mentioned about Syria. The very agenda of Hamas terrorists was to put a halt on the normalization of ties between Israel and Saudi Arabia. How is the West, United States of America and Israel and other moderate Arab nations prepared to fight this challenge?
They are actually quite underprepared to fight this challenge because the challenge is not Hamas. Hamas is, let's say, an extremist terror organization. The challenge is the issue of Palestine. What the Hamas attack has done has brought center stage the question and issue of Palestine. Now, as far as the issue of Palestine, there is, and you mentioned the West. You see, what I see is a growing divide between the West and the West. West being primarily Europe and US. They are standing steadfast with Israel, and they are also now beginning to talk more that a Palestine solution is needed. But the rest, if you see, the rest, by rest I mean the Arab world, the Latin Americans, the Africa, the Asians, they are saying that a solution, a two-state or whatever solution to the issue of Palestine is now paramount. Now, India faces a challenge, I think, little bit of a challenge in our foreign policy. The rest, again, West versus the rest, includes a lot of the global South. Yesterday, you see the statement coming out of BRICS was calling for a ceasefire. It did not condemn very strongly. But it's the first time ever the BRICS has convened an extraordinary session and discussed a topic solely which is not economics, a political topic, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, so what is happening is that the global South and the rest are kind of, there's a growing divide between the West and the rest. And the challenge for us, because we have good relations and we want to keep good and grow relations with the rest, especially, of course, the US and Europe, we have to play a bridging role. America will have to adjust. We will also have to adjust a bit. And the core issue here is, once again, it's Palestine. The issue of Palestine is now center stage.
Okay.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.